The Oxford Dictionary defines art as the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. When we think of art, I'm sure a few images pop into our minds. The Mona Lisa, Starry Night, or any other number of classical pieces. Of course, these paintings are incredible, but that is not all that art is. So often when we think of art as a concept or a topic, we take it at surface level. Instead of thinking of the deeper meaning behind it, we just look for aesthetics. Let's think back to our definition: the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. This is what the real purpose of art is. An article written by Joe Marchant in Smithsonian Magazine states that the oldest piece of artwork that has been found is of a wild pig, a cave painting dating from at least 45,500 years ago in Indonesia. Since then, art has grown and evolved alongside the rest of society. Whenever we take a look into human history, it is impossible to ignore the significant role that art has played. Just think about how many art pieces have been a sign of revolution, hope, or even just brought joy. Art is beyond anything else, a form of communication that goes past language and is a true portrayal of human emotion. So it seems quite obvious. Art has been a constant for almost all of time, and it is clear how it is important to our society. Now, what exactly is the issue? The problem is that, though art is crucial, that does not mean it is broadly viewed as such. In fact, culturally and systematically, art has been undervalued and overlooked. So often we see how art is stereotyped as being just a hobby, as opposed to anything deeper. When compared to fields like math or science, many see art as being less serious. How many of you in the audience would consider yourselves artists, or even just art lovers? I'm sure many of us have heard a familiar anecdote, that just because you like art, that does not mean you should pursue it as a career. This sends the message that art, though nice to look at, is and should stay as a mere hobby. We can trace this view of art and artists all the way back to even ancient civilizations. The Greeks and the Romans, though the producers of some of the most renowned masterpieces today, often viewed artists in quite a negative light. Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "One venerates the divine images. One may pray and sacrifice to them, yet one despises the sculptors that made them." And quite clearly, we can see how this quote is relevant, even today. The same people who watch films to relax and listen to music on their way home are also the ones who laugh at the idea of pursuing art as a career and see it as non-essential. I urge you all to think about this. Imagine a world with no art at all. Just for a moment, think about how dull and monotone our day-to-day lives would be. Especially today, in a world that is so fast-paced, it is easy to forget this. As society has progressed, there seems to be such an emphasis on things being quick and effortless. With this mindset, it is common for artists to be brushed under the rug. As an obvious example, AI art recently. With the click of a finger, one can generate an image tailored to their specific vision. And of course, who needs human artists when there's something so inexpensive and convenient available? Many argue that there is no need for human-made art when AI art does the same job. However, this could not be further from the truth. The entire point of art is that it is human. Without that aspect, it cannot be called art at all. By pirating artists' work through AI and disregarding how meaningful handcrafted pieces are, a disservice is done to all artists. The rise in AI art goes to show how far the general perspective of art has fallen, as well as how difficult circumstances are for artists today. Art was never intended to be cheaply made, and most definitely not generated from an app. But in today's fast-paced and profit-oriented world, it is difficult for true artists to survive. I believe this is largely where many cultural ideas of art not being a proper career choice stem from. For parents, though they may support art, they are likely not telling their child to pursue a music degree over an engineering one. And sadly enough, it is true that in today's world, the engineering degree is probably the practical choice. We can see how, as time goes by, art as a field has been funded less and less. This is a pervasive issue. Just last month, the Canadian government cut $8 million of funding from the Canada Arts Presentation Fund, negatively impacting the livelihoods of many local artists and removing opportunities for art and performance festivals. It is no surprise, looking at this, that art disvalue remains so constant. Not only as a cultural issue, but as a political one, art has been viewed as disposable. When people see these actions that are being taken, and watch as art programs are provided less and less support, this viewpoint is only emphasized. This is a struggle that has spread in the education system as well. As it is not seen as a moneymaker, art is often the first to go when considering budget cuts from schools. This has always been shocking to me. If art is so important for adults, it is vital for children and adolescents. In the early stages of our lives, development is based largely on interactions with color, music, and movement. Art allows children to problem solve, experiment with patterns and shapes, and even develop fine motor skills. A study conducted in Houston, Texas, through various public schools, found that students who were more involved in art education had higher goals for their future education, were more engaged in class, and even had more emotional and cognitive empathy. If art were to be removed from schools, or even experience an excessive cutback, without a doubt there would be dire consequences for the development of children. Without having a well-rounded scope of activities, it is difficult for young people to become well-adjusted adults. It is easy to say that art skills are not marketable and that they will not get you anywhere in life. Our society has deeply ingrained the idea that something's worth is tied directly to its ability to make a profit, which so often puts art at a detriment. This is a main area that art disvalue stems from. When practicality and competition are valued above all else, fields like art are naturally disregarded. Art is not something as measurable as other fields. It speaks to people in different ways. As a result of this, its impact is also often underestimated. Adding to this point, many hold the view that only certain people can become artists, or that only certain people can benefit from art at all. Due to this, they are unable to empathize with and truly have an understanding of art. However, the reality is, everyone is an artist in their own individual way, or at least a consumer of art. Perhaps what we need as a society is to tap into this side of ourselves. It is easy to choose to ignore art and say that it is not our cup of tea. And to be fair, this is understandable. Not everyone has the technical skill to create an art piece that they think is good. The point of art, however, is not for it to be good, it is for it to be meaningful. As long as it is a portrayal of emotion, it is art. This is exactly what makes art not only imperative, but helpful. It is a vessel for any feelings one may have, a way to express creativity while having fun simultaneously. When considering art, we must not fixate solely on what can be gained from it in terms of profit, but what we can individually learn from it. This is a mindset shift that we should all make as a society. For generations, art has been viewed as a hobby, as something secondary to other topics. This is a perspective that has not only carried over throughout the years, but has been progressively growing. On a cultural, systematic, and political level, art undervalue is a pervasive issue. Going forward, it is our duty to alter that. For parents, though it may be scary, listen to your kids when they express their desires to become an artist, and continue to support local art. And for kids, continue to be art lovers, to spread the message that art is important, and to pursue your passions, whatever those may be. With the constant spread of ideas that work against prioritizing and valuing art, now more than ever, we must realize why these views are unhelpful. Art is not an impractical hobby. It is a reflection of emotion and a true expression of being human. Thank you all for listening, and have a good night.